Hello, I'm Jocelyn. Welcome to my channel, Butterfly True Crime. Tonight we are unveiling the dark side of humanity. This is a story of an 8-year-old girl named Debbie Makel, whose life was cut tragically short on an ordinary October afternoon, and that would shatter a small Pennsylvania town and leave a family with questions that remain unanswered for decades. It was Friday, October 5th, 1973. Debbie Makel was described by family as outgoing, bright, and full of laughs. She rode the school bus home to the tiny town of Rice's Landing in Greene County, Pennsylvania. Her two older brothers, who were walking home that afternoon instead of riding the bus so they could sell magazine subscriptions for the school fundraiser, arrived before her. When they came inside, her coat, books, and house key were on the table, and Debbie herself was nowhere to be found. At first it was feared she was simply playing outside or with friends, but as evening came and Debbie did not return, the worry turned to alarm. Her parents, Dwayne and Charlotte Makel, called the police. The community mobilized. Flyers were printed. People combed through the woods, and pleas for help rang out at a local high school football game that night. 2 days later, a heartbreaking discovery. Two cousins who had come to help search found Debbie's body near an old distillery foundation, less than 200 yards from her home. She had been covered with branches and brush. A pillowcase was found over her head. Investigators determined Debbie had been sexually assaulted and strangled. A piece of twine was used to tie the fatal ligature. The small town was stunned. A family's worst nightmare was now the focus of a criminal investigation. In the days and weeks after Debbie's death, local and state police interviewed hundreds of people. Rice's Landing, with its population of only a few hundred, suddenly found itself under the glare of a tragic mystery. Papers described the case file as thick, full of interviews and leads, but not one produced the identity of the person who did this. At the time, forensic science could not do what it can today. DNA testing didn't exist in 1973. The first DNA-based conviction in the U.S. was years away. Investigators preserved evidence and pursued tips, but the trail eventually grew cold. Over the decades, detectives and cold case teams have returned to the files, hoping that advances in technology or a new tip would break the case. Those who knew Debbie remember a little girl who loved to climb trees, who greeted newcomers with kindness, and who, despite her youth, had a spark that lit the room. Her parents, Dwayne and Charlotte, never stopped looking for answers. For them, every anniversary became a fresh wound. Even as years passed, the memory of Debbie remained vivid in the lives of the people who loved her. Though no one has been charged in Debbie Makel's murder, the case has not been forgotten. In recent years, the state police and cold case detectives publicly posted the file on tip pages and asked for public information. It's a modern attempt to crowdsource justice and tap into new leads that may come from people who were silent or absent decades ago. The Pennsylvania State Police included Debbie's case on their online tip portal, urging anyone with information to come forward. If you have any information about this case, however small it may seem, contact the Pennsylvania State Police Troop B, Waynesburg Barracks. Your tip could be the piece that finally brings justice for Debbie. I will include that in the description below. Small towns are often thought as safe, familiar places, and yet the tragedy that befell Debbie Makel shows how fragile that sense of security can be. Her story is a reminder of the consequences when predators strike, the long, painful ripple effects felt by families and communities. The case remains an open wound, a question mark the community carries every October. If anything in tonight's episode moved you, if a recollection nudged your memory, or if a family story from that time suddenly seems relevant, please act. Reach out to the Pennsylvania State Police Troop B. The contact information is in the show notes. Even a single memory can change the course of a case. Thank you for watching. If you found this episode meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay aware. Remember, the dark side of humanity is closer than we think.